Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Rock. My name is Shivansu Sukla. Here I am with the sixth part of the running video series. In this part, I will solve questions of geomorphology and mineralogy from BHU PT 2020 question paper. This video will not only helpful for those who are going to appear in BHU entrance exam or other central university exam, but also for every geology student. So let's start. First question says, drainage pattern that develops in the homogeneous lithology of an area. So first of all, what is drainage pattern? Drainage pattern means spatial arrangement and form of drainage system in terms of geometrical shape in the areas of different rock types, geological structure, climatic condition and inundation history. In other words, you can say when many rivers join together form a variety of patterns and those patterns are known as drainage pattern. Okay, so based on shape and formation of river patterns, there are different type of drainage patterns. Some of these are given in these options. So let's see what does these drainage pattern means. First one is trellis drainage pattern. Trellis drainage pattern forms when the short subsequent streams meet the main stream at right angle and develops in region containing folded and tilted strata. Differential erosion through softer rocks paves the way for tributaries. Okay. Next one is radial drainage pattern. Radial drainage pattern forms when stream flows outward in all directions from a central high point. This pattern develops on an elevated structure like volcano or dome. Next is dendritic drainage pattern. Dendritic means an irregular T-branch shaped pattern, and this pattern develops in a terrain which has uniform lithology and where faulting and jointing are insignificant. That is, the dendritic pattern forms in the area where there is uniform lithology, and that signifies lack of structural control. While if you see in radial and drainage pattern, there is presence of folded and tilted strata, there is presence of dome, volcano, but in dendritic pattern, the area is of uniform lithology. In case of rectangular drainage pattern forms when main stream bend at right angles and tributary joins at right angles, creating rectangular pattern. And these are formed by differential weathering of faults or joint system in bedrocks. So clearly rectangular pattern is also associated with fault and joint. Okay. So trellis, radial and rectangular drainage pattern signifies the area that have structural control except dendritic. As far as the question is concerned, question is asking about drainage pattern which develops in homogeneous lithology of an area. The correct answer is dendritic drainage pattern. Next question says, which are the oldest and youngest mountain ranges respectively in India? Okay, to answer this question, you should know the time of formation or time of orogeny of Western Ghat, Eastern Ghat, Aravalis, Vindhyans, Satpura and Himalayan ranges. If you know the time of orogeny of all these mountain ranges, you can easily answer this question. So I have arranged these mountain ranges from oldest to youngest. That is, Aravalis are the oldest mountain ranges of the India, and these are one of the oldest mountain ranges of the world, and these form approximately at 2 billion years ago. While Satpura, these are tectonic mountains formed about 1.6 billion years ago as a result of folding and structural uplift. Then Vindhyans are non-tectonic mountains, and these are formed not because of plate collision. Okay, so these are younger than Aravali and Satpura. Clearly, these formed between 1 to 1.6 billion years ago. Eastern Ghat mountain ranges are discontinuous mountain ranges that run almost parallel to the east coast of India. And Eastern Ghats are though older than Western Ghats but younger than Aravalis, Satpura and Vindhyans. These Eastern Ghats form between 950 million to 1100 million years. My mistake, this is not billion, this is million. Okay. Then Western Ghats form approximately at 150 million years ago, and these mark the western boundary of Deccan Plateau. Himalaya are the youngest mountain ranges of one of the youngest mountain ranges of the world and the youngest mountain ranges of the India. These mountain ranges formed between 65 million annum to 55 million annum. Himalayan mountain ranges formed by the result of continental collision along the convergent boundary. Okay, and Himalayas are still rising. Okay, so these are the youngest mountain ranges of the India. So as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is Aravalli and Himalayan ranges. Aravallis are the oldest and Himalayans are the youngest. Next question says, which type of lithology give rise to the development of sinkholes? So first of all, what are sinkholes? Sinkholes are small, shallow, circular to oval closed depressions formed by downward solution of limestone from the surface or by collapse of the roof of solution cavity. Sinkholes are most common in karst since these are formed in limestone country rock. Okay, and limestone country rock is characteristic of karst terrain. So the question, let's check the options. These are limestone, schist, gneiss and sandstone. So clearly in the definition itself, sinkholes are formed in limestone. So the correct answer is limestone. And these sinkholes are formed in soluble rocks, and soluble rocks include salt beds, salt domes, gypsum and limestone and other carbonate rock. While schist, gneiss and sandstone, these are not correct answer because these are non-soluble rocks. Next question says, the depositional feature that resulted due to deposition of calcium carbonate from the ceiling is known as. Okay, basically this question is asking about definition and the options are like stylolites, stalactites, strath and stalagmite. So if we know these options, we can easily answer this question. So okay, so let's go by one. First one is stylolites. Stylolites are irregular surfaces formed by pressure dissolution, and this is most commonly seen at the junction of limestone beds and within limestone. Okay, so these are not the depositional structure, these are irregular surfaces which are formed by pressure dissolution. Stalactites are a type of drip stone which are depositional feature that resulted due to deposition of calcium carbonate from the ceiling. Okay, so clearly stalactite is the correct answer as definition matches with the term stalactite. Then strath is a Scottish term which means incipient peneplain. Incipient means just beginning, okay, or just the starting of development of peneplain. Okay, so these are within a river valley. So clearly these are not formed by the deposition of calcium carbonate because these are associated with river valley. Then stalagmite are also a type of a drip stone which are depositional feature that rises from the floor of a cave due to the accumulation of calcium carbonate deposited on the floor. So if this question were asking about depositional feature which is resulted by the accumulation of calcium carbonate from the floor, okay, right, that rises from the floor, then the stalagmite would be the correct answer. But this question is asking about depositional feature that resulted due to deposition of calcium carbonate from the ceiling, so stalactite is the correct answer. Next question says, a narrow piece of land which attaches an island with the mainland is known as. Again, this is a definition of a term among these four. Okay, so we should know about all these four options. First one is jetty. Jetty is nothing, it's a long narrow structure that protects a coastline from the currents and tide. Okay, basically it is a man-made structure and these are usually made up of woods, stone or concrete. Okay, so this is not the correct answer because question is asking about piece of land which attaches an island with the mainland, and jetties are developed to protect a coastline. Then next is spit. Spit is a narrow coastal landform that is tied to the coast at one end. Basically, spits frequently form where the coast abruptly changes direction and often occurs across the mouth of estuaries. So this is also not that land that attaches island with the mainland. Next is barrier. Barrier is nothing. Barrier is just a fence or obstacle that prevents movement or access in ocean water. It may be barrier bar, it may be barrier island, it may be barrier reef. Okay. Next is tombolo. Tombolo is a sandbar connecting an island to the mainland or to another island. Basically, it is a sandbar connecting an island to the mainland or to another island. And the question is asking about this, a narrow piece of land which attaches an island with the mainland. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is Tombolo. Next question says, a depth in ocean below which no calcareous tests are preserved in sediments is called. Okay, so calcite compensation depth. Calcite compensation is the depth in ocean below which the rate of supply of calcite or calcium carbonate is equals to the rate of dissolution, and that's why there is no more calcite is deposited below this depth, and therefore cells of animals dissolve and carbonate particles may not accumulate in sediments on the seafloor below this depth. So clearly this question is asking about that a depth in ocean below which no calcareous tests are preserved, so that depth is calcite compensation depth. Next, above calcite compensation depth is carbonate lysocline. Carbonate lysocline is the depth at which there is dramatic increase in dissolution of calcium carbonate, or you can say this is the this is the depth at which there is dramatic decrease in the amount of calcium structure present. Okay, and below carbonate lysocline CCD exists. That means CCD overlies carbonate lysocline, and above this carbonate lysocline, that is supralysocline. And supralysocline is the depth at which the rate of dissolution of calcium carbonate increases dramatically. Okay, and this marks the upper boundary of bottom water. Again, aragonite compensation depth. This is describe the same behavior in reference to aragonitic carbonate. Since aragonite is more soluble than calcite, so aragonitic compensation depth is shallower than calcite compensation depth. So as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is calcite compensation depth. Next question says, in fluvial channels, imbricated gravels dipped in. Imbricated gravels means gravels overlapping one another. In this fashion, gravels overlap each other dipping in an upstream direction. Like say, these gravels are overlapping each other, and due to overlapping, the dipping of these imbricated gravels or this fabric is just upstream. This is upstream direction and this is downstream direction. Current is flowing from here to here. These gravels are just overlapped here, and so the dipping is upstream direction. So as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is up current direction. Next question says, the feature having a channel that has sea at one end and a river at the other end. Okay, so this is asking about a feature which has sea at one end and a river at the other end. Basically, this region where sea at one end and river at another end. So first one is strait. Strait is nothing. Strait is a narrow passage of water connecting two seas. Okay, so basically there is a sea at one end and at other end there is also a sea in case of strait. Okay, I don't have any idea about intricate channels. If you know about this, please let me know in comment section. Estuary are the area where fresh water of river meets the ocean. Okay, this is a partly enclosed coastal body of water in which river water is mixed with sea water, or estuaries form a transition between river involvement and marine involvement. So clearly these marks the transition between river involvement and marine involvement. So in case of estuary, it has sea at one end and river at another end. So the correct answer is estuary. Lagoon is nothing. Lagoon is just a shallow body of water, or you can say shallow body of sea water that is separated or partially separated from the larger body of seawater. Okay, so lagoon is not the correct answer. Next question is, natural levee is a depositional feature formed due to. So first let us know about what is natural levee and how does it form. Okay, so natural levee are nothing, just a narrow belt of ridges formed due to deposition of sediments during flood periods. So from this definition only, it is clear that natural levee are formed during flood periods. So clearly these are formed due to floodplain. Okay, next is point bar. Point bars are also known as meander bars. They are found on the convex side of meanders of large rivers, and sediments are deposited by waters along the banks. Okay, point bars are formed in meandering stream. Okay, next one is breeding plain. Due to lack of competence and capacity, the load that river carried is dumped in the mid-channel to form islands. These islands are known as braided bars, and the plane in which braided bars are present, that is known as braiding plane. Okay, channel fill is nothing, is just the accumulation of sand and detritus in a stream channel where the transporting capacity of water in is sufficient to remove the material as rapidly as it is delivered. Okay, so basically it is just filling of channel by sand and detritus sediment. So as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is floodplain. Next question says, large longitudinal dunes with flat tops is called. Okay, again this is a definition of a term which is among these four options. We have to find out the correct answer. First one is sandhill. Sandhill is a type of ecological community or desert wildfire maintained ecosystem. So it is not the same as sand dune. Okay, so it is different from sand dune basically. Next one is natural levee. We discussed in question number 9, that is previous question, that natural levees are just ridges lying parallel to the stream channel. So these are associated with the stream. So clearly these are not dunes. Okay. Next is sand levees. Sand levees, these are also known as whaleback, and these are flat topped sand ridges which extend parallel to the prevailing wind direction. And because of parallel to the prevailing wind direction, these are longitudinal. Okay, and these are much larger dimension. These are in much larger dimension, and that lack collapsing feature that is marked by a shape. Okay, so that is not the point of concern. The point of concern is sand levees are flat topped sand ridges that extend parallel to the wind direction. Okay. Next, barkans. Barkans are nothing. Barkans are just small isolated sand dunes, or you can say small isolated transverse sand dunes of crescentic shape having two horns. And this question is about asking about longitudinal dunes. So this is not the correct answer. As far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is sand levees. Next question says, currently the river Ganga builds up. Okay, so delta. Delta is made by all the eastern flowing rivers like say Ganga, Brahmaputra, Godavari, Kaveri, Krishna, Mahanadi, etc. Okay, and estuary is formed by all the west flowing rivers like say Narmada and Tapti. Okay, so as far as the river Ganga is concerned, river Ganga builds up delta. Lagoon and barrier bar we have discussed in previous question. These are coastal landforms, so these are not associated with river Ganga. Okay. Next question says, karst topography is found in. Okay, so first let us know about karst topography. What is meaning of this? Karst is a comprehensive term that is applied to limestone or dolomite areas. Okay, so from the karst itself, it is clear that karst topography is found in limestone country. Now, karst topography is shaped by soluble layer or layers of bedrock, usually carbonate such as limestone and dolomite. So clearly these granitic, sandstone and basaltic, these rock are insoluble, only limestone is soluble. So correct answer of this question is limestone country. Next is Himalayan fold mountain is characterized by. So I told you earlier that Himalayas are the youngest mountain ranges of India, and these are one of the youngest mountain ranges of the world. Its formation is the result of continental collision during convergent plate boundary between Indo-Australian plate and Eurasian plate. Indo-Australian plate after Indian plate separated from Australian plate. So basically it is real due to the collision between Indian plate and Eurasian plate. Now these both plates are composed of low density continental crust. They were thrust faulted and folded into mountain ranges rather than subducting into mantle. Now Himalayas, since Himalayas are still rising, so it is associated with active faulting, and there is no volcanism as because there is these plates are not subducting into mantle, so therefore there is no volcanism takes place. So this is also explained here that youngest mountain range of India formed by collision of Indian plate to Eurasian plate and are still rising and hence associated with active faulting. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is active faults and no volcanism. Next question says, coastal lakes having connection with the sea are known as. Okay, so we have to tell about coastal lakes. Okay, among these perennial lakes, playas, safka, and lagoons, which one is coastal lake? And along with coastal lake, these should have connection with the sea. Okay, so first one is perennial lake. Perennial lake is a lake that retains water throughout the year. Okay, so this is not the, this is not providing the accurate, conditions that question is asking about. Next one is playa. Playa is just a shallow lake basin in desert region. Okay, that is intermediately filled with water which evaporates in a short period of time. So these are not the coastal lakes, so therefore these are not the correct answer. Sabkha is just a coastal supratidal mudflat or sandflat. These are also not coastal lakes, so these are not the correct. These are also not the correct answer. Now lagoons, like I told you earlier, that lagoons are the area of seawater that is separated from the sea by sandbar, and this lagoon term is also associated with the lake that forms in an atoll. So clearly lagoon is the correct answer because these are coastal landform as well as these are lake. Okay, next question is meandering of a stream is achieved in which stage of its journey? Okay, so a stream have different stages of its journey. That is, first one is youth stage, second is mature stage, third is old stage, and other stage is rejuvenated stage. In youth stage, erosion is more dominant. Okay, so because of erosion is more dominant, stream start down cutting, and because of down cutting, v-shaped valley, rapids, and waterfalls form. In youth stage, v-shaped valley, rapids, and waterfall, these features form. In case of mature stage, erosion and deposition equally dominates, and in this stage, stream swings in meanders. Okay, so meanders are the special feature of mature stage. Okay, and floodplains are narrow and sandbars are also present. In case of old stage, deposition dominates, and because of deposition dominance, there is formation of delta, natural levee, and oxbow lake. Meanders are less prominent in old stage, though present, but these are less prominent in old stage. Okay, meanders are the most important feature of mature stage of river. So as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is mature stage. Yeah, you can say more precise answer is mature stage. Rejuvenated stage, rejuvenated landforms are uplifted peneplain, nick points, paired river terraces, and incised meanders. Okay, so these are rejuvenated stage landform. So the question is asking about meandering of a stream. So this takes place in mature stage. Next question says, the features having ridges produced by excavation of soft materials due to abrasion is. Okay, so again this is asking about definition, and these are four terms among which we have to tell the correct answer. First one is yardang. Yardang are the parallel ridges separated by trough cut into softer rocks. So yar, this word is Turkmenistani word, and this yar means ridges or parallel ridges. Okay, and in case of yardang, these beds are vertically, softer and harder rocks are vertically situated, and because of that, because of abrasion, softer rocks excavate out, and only parallel ridges of harder material, harder rocks, okay, remain, and these are separated by trough cut into softer rocks. So clearly yardang fits with the definition of, or you can say yardang fit with the question asking. So the correct answer is yardang. Next is Jugan. Jugan are tabular mass of resistant rock standing out from the softer underlying rocks. In case of yardangs, rocks of varying hardness are vertically bedded, but in case of Jugans, rocks of varying hardness are horizontally bedded. Okay. In case of ventifacts are nothing, just these are wind faceted pebbles, and these are okay, and these are produced by abrasion also, but these are pebbles, so these are not the ridges. These are also incorrect statement. Pedestal rock is a mushroom rock. Basically, these are residual masses of weak rock capped with the harder rocks have been explained by wind erosion, and that shape the rocks in a mushroom shape from where it derive its name, that is mushroom rock. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, yardang is the correct answer. Next question says, the landform produced due to tectonic shift of channel is called. Again, we have to understand all these four terms to answer this question. So first one is seismic gap. Seismic gap is an area within a known active earthquake zone within which there is no significant earthquake recorded. So okay, so this is not the correct statement which is asking in the question. Next one is water gap. Water gap is a transverse gap in mountain ridge through which stream flows, or you can say through which stream flows currently. Okay. Air gap, I don't know air gap. Please comment down below if you know something about this. Next one is wind gap. Wind gap is a gap through which waterway once flowed that is now dry as a result of stream capture or stream piracy. And you know, stream piracy is because of tectonic upliftment. Okay, so basically these wind gaps are landform that is produced by tectonic upliftment or tectonic shift of channel. Okay, the main difference between wind gap and water gap is that water gap are similar feature, but one in which waterway still flows. In case of waterway, in case of water gap, waterway still flows, but in case of wind gap, waterway flows earlier. Okay, but now these are empty gap. Next question says, both orthopyroxene and biotite show state extension. So this question itself providing you a concept that orthopyroxene and biotite show state extension. Okay. Now, in which crystallographic classes biotite belongs to? So biotite belongs to mica group of minerals, and all the mica group of minerals belongs to monoclinic crystal system. So clearly from this, biotite belongs to monoclinic. While if the question were asking about orthopyroxene, orthopyroxene belongs to orthorhombic crystal system, and clinopyroxene belongs to monoclinic crystal system. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is monoclinic. Next question is, for proper optical observations, the angle between the polarizer and analyzer in polarizing microscope must be. Okay, so for proper optical observation, proper illumination is required. Okay, and for proper illumination, analyzer and polarizer must be oriented at 90 degree to each other. Say, if polarizer and analyzer are oriented at 0 degree to each other, then there will be no light will pass through analyzer and mineral remain dark. Okay, so this is not the statement or a condition in which there is proper optical observation. Okay, in case of 90 degree, when analyzer and polarizer are oriented at 90 degree to each other, there is maximum illumination and you will get proper optical observation. While in case of 45 degree and 30 degree, you will not get maximum illumination. Okay, so these are not the condition when there is proper optical observation takes place. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, the correct answer is 90 degree. Where there is maximum illumination, there is proper optical observation. Next question says, body centered unit cell does not occur in which of the following crystallographic axis, or in which of the following crystallographic classes? So first of all, what are unit cell? Unit cell are the smallest unit of pattern which is repeated throughout the crystal. Now what are body centered unit cell? Body centered unit cell are those that contains lattice node at the corner and also at the center. Okay, so in case of tetragonal crystal system, tetragonal crystal system contains primitive unit cell and body centered unit cell. Okay, so these system contains body centered unit cell. In case of monoclinic crystal system, these contains primitive and face centered unit cell. Okay, and face centered means these are C type unit cell in which these contains lattice node at the corners and at the center of any two opposite faces. Okay, so monoclinic crystal system does not contain body centered unit cell. So these are the correct answer, as the question is asking about that does not occur, that does not body centered unit cell does not occur in which crystal system. Next one is cubic. Cubic contains primitive, body centered as well as face centered unit cell. And orthorhombic contains primitive, body centered and F type unit cell as well as C type unit cell. So the correct answer of this question is monoclinic crystal system. Next question says, in thin sections of standard thickness, prismatic sillimenites show interference color up to lower second order. What will be the order of interference color of basal section of sillimenite? So this question is asking about the interference color of basal section of sillimenite. So along basal section of any mineral, birefringence is minimum, and since birefringence is minimum, and interference color depends upon birefringence. Interference color is also the least. And because interference color is the least, let's check out the options. First one says lower first order, second one says lower second order, third one is higher second order, fourth one is higher first order. So among these four, lower first order is the least interference color that can be shown by any window, or you can say that can be shown by basal section of sillimanite. So this is the correct answer. Next question says crystal forms that do not have either plane or center of symmetry are known as. So first one is tetrahedral form. Basically tetrahedral form is hemihedral form of octahedron, and octahedron is a form of cubic system that contains maximum number of symmetry classes. Okay, and since tetrahedral form is hemihedral, so there might be possible, there is less symmetry as compared to octahedron, but still center of symmetry, axis symmetry and plane of symmetry will be present. And this question is asking that in which crystal form that do not have either plane or center of symmetry. Next one is hemimorphic form. In case of hemimorphic form, center of symmetry is absent but plane of symmetry is present. Okay, and hemimorphic form contains just the half number of faces as compared to hemihedral form. Okay, enantiomorphic forms are the forms that do not have either center of symmetry or plane of symmetry. That is, center of symmetry and plane of symmetry both are absent in case of enantiomorphic form. Okay. Next is hemihedral form. Hemihedral form have just the half number of faces as compared to holohedral form, and in the hemihedral form symmetry elements present but less than holohedral form, and since symmetry elements present, so plane of symmetry and center of symmetry are also present. So as far as the question is concerned, enantiomorphic form is the correct answer. Next question says optically anisotropic mineral differ from isotropic minerals by. Okay, so isotropic minerals are not able to polarize light, as these minerals transmit light with equal velocity in all directions. As contrast to anisotropic minerals are able to polarize light. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, you get your correct answer, that is anisotropic minerals are able to polarize light, but in isotropic mineral are not able to polarize light. So the correct answer is being able to polarize light. In case of first option, being fluorescent in ultraviolet light, fluorescent is observed by illuminating a mineral sample in a darkened room, either short or long ultraviolet wave. And this fluorescence is shown by fluorite, which is isotropic, and scillite, which is tetragonal, or you can say anisotropic. So clearly fluorescent is not restricted to the anisotropic or isotropic mineral, because it is seen it is shown by both isotropic and anisotropic minerals. Now this is critical angle. Critical angle is the angle of incidence at which the ray is neither reflected nor refracted but moves along the interface between two media. Okay, now critical angle is used in instruments called refractometers to determine refractive indices of certain substances. It may be anisotropic or isotropic. So these are also not the conditions. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is being able to polarize light. Next question says which one of the following minerals is nesosilicate? Nesosilicate is type of a structure in which silicon oxygen ratio is 1:4. Okay. Now check out these options. First one is beryl, and composition of beryl is Be3Al2Si6O18. So these have silicon oxygen ratio 6:18, and this is in case of cyclosilicate structure. So beryl belongs to cyclosilicate. Hemimorphite, in case of hemimorphite, the composition is Zn4Si2O7. So clearly silicon oxygen ratio is 2:7, and this is the case for sorosilicate structure. So hemimorphite belongs to sorosilicate. In case of nepheline is a feldspathoid mineral, and the composition is NaKAlSiO4. Now these Al and Si, these both are in tetrahedral site. So the SiO ratio will be 2:4, that is 1:2. And this is in case of tetrosilicate structure. So nepheline belongs to tetrosilicate structure. In case of olivine, the composition is MgFeCa whole twice SiO4. In this case, silicon oxygen ratio is clearly 1:4. So this belongs to nesosilicate structure. So correct answer of this question is olivine. Next question says normal interfacial angle in the dodecahedron form of cubic system is. So interfacial angle is the angle between adjacent faces of a crystal, and the instrument that is used to measure interfacial angle is goniometer. Okay, so in case of cubic system, the form cube, in case of cube, the interfacial angle is 90 degree. In case of dodecahedron, the interfacial angle is 60 degree. I don't know about these, that which form shows these 45 degree and 120 degree interfacial angle. If you know something about these two, please let me know in comment section. So as far as the dodecahedron form is concerned, the correct answer is 60 degree. Next question says calcite shows twinkling effect in PPL while rotating the microscope stage because it has. Okay, so calcite have refractive index omega 1.658 and epsilon 1.486. Okay, now on subtracting these we get birefringence, that is 0.172. Okay, so clearly calcite have a very high birefringence, and because of very high birefringence on on stage rotation it changes relief. Okay, and because of this relief changing, that effect occur, and that is known as twinkling effect, and this twinkling effect is because of very high birefringence. Okay, so clearly the correct answer of this question is very high birefringence. This is not because calcite have very high refringence clearly, and very high refractive index, these are also not appropriate answers. The correct answer is very high birefringence. Okay, next question says a Mendel that is trichroic must be. Okay, so trichroic means that Mendel we show three colors on stage rotation under PPL. Okay, trichroic is basically a variety of pleochroic Mendel. Pleochroic Mendel are those that change color as stage is rotated when sample is observed under pen polarized. These are basically of two types, dichroic and trichroic. Dichroic means Mendel that show only two colors, and the Mendels of tetragonal and hexagonal crystal system show are dichroic. Okay, and trichroic means Mendel that show three colors on stage rotation, and the Mendels of orthorhombic, monoclinic and triclinic crystal system are trichroic in nature. Okay, now a Mendel that is trichroic must. So first one is be isometric or cubic, no, because trichroic Mendel should be orthorhombic or monoclinic or triclinic. Okay, be triclinic. Now must be no, this is also incorrect statement, or you can say this is incomplete statement. If this question were having this, if this option were having triclinic, orthorhombic and monoclinic, then this would be the correct answer. But this option only contain triclinic, and trichroic Mendel are not only restricted to triclinic crystal system, so this is also incorrect statement. Okay, be isotropic, isometric crystal systems are isotropic. Okay, Mendels of isometric crystal system are isotropic, so this is also not the correct answer, and isotropic Mendels are non-pleochroic clearly. Now in some orientation blink from dark to light when rotated in polarizing microscope. So clearly a Mendel that is trichroic must be possess this condition. Okay, so the correct answer is this. Next question says a Mendel in thin section that looks dark every 90 degree of rotation in microscope must be. Now if a Mendel looks dark in every 90 degree of rotation, then it is considered as an isotropic Mendel, and it is isotropic when it remains dark throughout 360 degree rotation. Okay, now let's check the options. First one is hexagonal or tetragonal. These are anisotropic Mendels, but along with these monoclinic, triclinic and orthorhombic are also anisotropic Mendels. So this alone is not a correct answer, and this alone is also not the correct answer. Isotropic Mendels are clearly these remains dark throughout 360 degree rotation, so this is not the correct answer. Anisotropic Mendels are those that are in hexagonal crystal system, tetragonal, orthorhombic, monoclinic and triclinic. So these Mendels looks dark every 90 degree stage rotation microscope. So the correct answer is anisotropic. Next question says a pleochroic Mendel must always be. Now in previous question I told you, or you can say in question number 27 I told you that pleochroic Mendel are anisotropic in nature. Isotropic Mendels are isotropic minerals are non-pleochroic. Okay, so first option says anisotropic. Okay, this is the condition. Hexagonal and tetragonal, these alone cannot be answers, because hexagonal are also anisotropic and tetragonal are also anisotropic. So these are incorrect options, because these alone cannot be correct answer of this question. Now anisotropic satisfy condition, because anisotropic minerals contain all the minerals that crystallize in hexagonal, tetragonal, monoclinic, triclinic and orthorhombic. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Next question says Ca3Cr2Si312 is the chemical formula of which mineral? So if you know the chemical formula of all these options or all these minerals, you can easily answer this question. So first one is grossularite. Chemical composition of grossularite is Ca3Al2Si312. Chemical composition of uvarovite is Ca3Cr2Si312. Chemical composition of andradite is Ca3Fe2Si312. And chemical composition of spessartine is Mn3Al2Si312. These three minerals belongs to ugrandite series of garnet, and spessartine along with pyrope and elmendine belongs to pyrrolspite series of garnet. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, question is asking about Ca3Cr2Si312. So clearly this is the chemical composition of uvarovite. So the correct answer of this question is uvarovite. Okay guys, that's it for today. If you like it, please press the like button, subscribe if you have not done yet, and share among your friends. Thank you.